Hey, young America, we need to talk. You may think this is uncool. You may even think it is bogus. But I want to tell you about something that has everyone buzzing. Something that concerns mature boys and girls just like you. Something called grassroots.
All right, everyone, this is Erin Ashley Simon.
And this is Brandon Killabh Hall.
And welcome to another episode of Grassroots Podcast, where it's not just about where you're going or currently are, but it's also about where you came from. Today, we have a special guest, and I'm so excited about this episode, y'all. Like, you have no idea how excited I am. This is a good friend of mine, someone who's been kind of pushing the envelope ever since he's gotten into this industry, and now is an artist, too. Which I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it's still dope. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's up? I'm Rob Markman.
Look how cool that was.
He's even talking like a rapper now.
He's like, what's up?
I'm trying to wrap my head around it too still.
It's got to be a trip though, man.
Nah, it definitely is. I mean, you know, being a journalist for so long, just being in the industry and people knowing you for one thing. And I mean, in my heart, I always knew this is what I wanted to do. I always had and now that it's finally out, but I used to have to keep it a secret.
That you were a rapper?
Yeah, because, you know, like being a journalist, you know, a lot of people would make you feel as if it was a conflict of interest or just something to be embarrassed about. A lot of people in the industry started wanting to do music.
Yeah.
Working at labels. Like now that when I'm walking through labels for meetings or different publications, you know, people will stick their head out their cubicle now like, yo, I used to rap too. Yo, babies. But still like under their breath. Like, and I was always I felt like the industry made me feel ashamed to have those aspirations. And then finally I just got to a point in my career where I kind of looked around and I'm like, you know what? You know, I'm kind of in the class by myself right here in this journalism shit. Who gonna tell me no that I can't do it? So I did it.
That's fucking dope. I would have never thought that though. I would have thought with your success and, you know, you've interviewed everyone and you've been in so many different areas or spaces that you would have been a little bit more comfortable. I wouldn't have thought that you would have been reluctant to do it.
Yeah, nah, definitely reluctant. And maybe part of it is me. There's definitely like an industry pressure where it's just like frowned upon. Like, you know, I almost lost a job when they found out that I was rapping like back in the day, like on my own shit. So then I had to choose whether to feed my family or you know, do what I wanted to do and choose because I wanted to do both because I love the journalism thing. This is not like disingenuous. Like, you know, I laid down this track work for like over a decade in journalism. Like, fooled you. I'm a rapper. Peace. Like, that's not what it is. Like, I truly love both. To me, at the end of the day, it's all storytelling, whether I'm interviewing somebody and helping them tell their story or telling my own. But yeah, it wasn't the most celebrated thing. It wasn't the most like easiest thing to do. And there's a lot of people, like I said, in the industry who started out as artists or started out with artist aspirations and who kind of gave them up. And now they're like secretly rooting for me. Like, and they're like, yeah, dog, you did it.
I gotta be honest. When I heard about it, I was like, "Rob got an album." Remember, I called Erin. I was like, "Rob got one." She's like, "Yes."
Yo, listen, I
you were skeptical though. Wait,
I'm a straight shooter. I was
good.
I was like, wait, but he's genius. Like he does dope ass interviews. He's a rapper, and Erin was like, "Yo, B, I'm telling you, you're gonna be surprised."
Yeah.
Like, all right.
It was crazy though, because like, you know, I was able to find out about it before it was really out there. And I'm just like, I remember I was telling you, I was like, yo, we got to interview Rob. And he was like, why? I was like, you'll see. Like, you'll see soon enough. I can't say anything yet, but trust me, like this, it's going to be really dope.
In my brain, I thought you had like a huge interview coming out. So I was like, oh, he must be having something like real major coming out. And she was like, oh, yeah. She's like, I can't tell you, but you just wait. So when you came out, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, you got an album. That's fucking dope. I said, that's great. And then when I heard it, I was pleasantly surprised, I must say. I will, because I'm honest, I was skeptical. I was like, how is he gonna do this? Like, how is he gonna transition? Because that's a whole nother monster. And then hearing the work, I was like, I get it. Okay, I get it. That's dope.
That's I mean, that's the reality. I knew I'm not like a fool, so I knew people would kind of be skeptical. Just because you know me from one thing, it's not like it's not wrong to have that skepticism. Like, I knew that people weren't going to just right out the gate be like, oh shit, he's rapping, let's go. But and I knew I had to show and prove. My whole the project is called Right to Dream, and I spell it WRITE because I started out as a writer, and even with lyrics, like I write in the notebook, I write my lyrics. I'm a writer.
Oh, you're still still do the classic pen to the pad,
and then scratch it out and start all over again and upside down on the page. But it's called Right to Dream, but it's also because, you have a right to dream and you have a right to dream. And, a lot of people, like, we shit on people's dreams a lot of times, like, because it sounds crazy. And a lot of times it's that people, you can't see yourself doing something. So you put that insecurity off on somebody else. But so the project is called Right to Dream. And, my goal with it was just like, one was to tell these stories that I just wanted to tell, like my life. And two, wanting people to respect it. Like, it wasn't necessarily like chasing a hit or like, oh man, we got to get a record in rotation on Hot 97 or, we got to get a platinum record or a gold record. All that stuff will be nice. Do not get me wrong. Like, we want all of that. But first and foremost, if nothing else, I just needed people to listen and be like, oh shit, he belongs. Like, this is not somebody fronting or doing this for like a disingenuous reason. Like, there's actual talent here.
Were you pleasantly surprised by people's responses? Because I remember when I forget what event, but we were riding the subway and we talked about that, like people's potential responses to it. And I think we were even talking. I was even saying like, yo, I think you're gonna get a lot more positive feedback than negative.
Yeah, I was waiting for all the negative feedback. I was waiting for the think pieces, and and maybe that had to do with, I think, twofold. Like, again, how I told you before. When I was at a job when I was working at Double XL and rapping, it was frowned upon. So, I almost like kind of lost my job on the low over there doing that. And then when I looked at my check too, I'm just like, this don't even make no sense. I'm barely making anything. But anyway, and then probably with my own insecurities, because we all, I think, naturally have those. But yeah, I was expecting some more backlash. I was expecting people not to get it, not to understand it. So the love has been good, and I'm happy, and it more so than anything, it doesn't make me comfortable. It makes me motivated to do better. Like, all the people who had nice things to say about it, like just you, B, saying that you was just like pleasantly surprised. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I have your attention at a certain level. Like, can I take this to another level? Can I succeed? Now you have an expectation.
Yeah.
Can I succeed? That can I grow? And people have been showing a lot of love, man, and I'm grateful for it. There's been a couple haters out there too.
There's always haters.
I was gonna say, you're always gonna have the haters.
But even as an artist, like most people was like, yo, people don't even hate on you. But like when they're hating on you, like you see it, like it'll be like one random Twitter person like, if I ever see you,
man, they just want you to respond though. They just want to be like, oh, Rob, tweet me back.
Nah, but I have been seeing some sneaky hate though, like some look like low key sucker shit. And but I'm cool. But most of it overwhelmed, like 98% love, and the people that have been kind of hateful, I kind of deal with it. Like Jay just dropped 444, right?
Yeah.
And man, it's a dope album. It's a pretty dope fucking album.
Yeah.
And I've had people see negative things to say about that. So I'm like, if they can hate on Hov,
I think that's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That's like, I think that's a huge think piece, body of work that Hov put out. There's so many different points you can touch on and gravitate to and then grow from. You know what I'm saying? Listening to that body of work. So I get that. How are you managing juggling? Because you still work for Genius, you still do interviews, but you're an artist now. So you're tearing down shows. You got a lot going on.
Came out for Logic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're opening up for artists that you've interviewed.
Crazy.
Artists that you probably looked up to at one point, now sharing a stage with them as an artist, not Rob Markman, the writer.
It's funny. Juggling the two has been tough. Managing my time has probably been like the toughest part. But I'm still passionate about both. Again, it was not like a trade-off. The plan was never to get popping and then leave Genius. It was like I love what we're building over there. I've been there for 2 years now, and from day one, the vision that I had and the vision that we had when I came into Genius, it's now like taking off and taking into fruition. So I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I work hard at it. And, I work hard at the rap thing too. I wanted both to succeed. My whole thing is like, I look at Puff. I look at Diddy. I look at Jay. Like, they don't stop at just one hustle. Like, now I'm looking like Jay is trying to buy like Harvey Weinstein's company. And get into Hollywood in that way. Like, that hustle don't stop. Like Diddy, when Diddy starts Revolt, he don't just drop Bad Boy and you do it all. So, I want to be able to just live a fulfilled life, like do things that makes me happy. And, the second part of your question, like opening up for artists that I looked up to, when I opened up for 2 Chainz in Terminal 5, you got to understand, like, Chainz is one of my favorite rappers right now. And I think his story is amazing. Like, how old was he when he dropped his debut album, the solo album, like 36?
He was 36 or
something like that. Like, in a day and age when the worst thing you could be in hip hop is old. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hip hop has broken down so many barriers. I think people aren't really tripping off of sexuality like they did in the past, and hip hop isn't really tripping off of gender fluidity. And not to say that it's perfect, we still got issues in hip hop of accepting. And I love right now that I could look and see multiple women popping, be it Cardi B, be it Nicki Minaj, Princess Nokia. I'm a big fan.
Oh my God, I love her.
Like, so but don't be old in hip hop. Don't be the old head. Like, it's still like you can't be the old head. And for Chainz to come out, not that he fits in that old head category, but his age is up there. But dude still started this wave and invented himself and reinvented himself into a way that you had to respect it.
Yeah.
And so I've always looked at him for inspiration for everything, lyrically, musically, and just his whole attitude and approach. So when I got that call from street execs, to come open for him for Terminal 5, I didn't ask them for that. Like, how do you ask for that? Yo, can I open for you? Like,
you just took the question out because I wanted to know how that came about.
Nah, they just called me and was like, yo, I have a friend who works very closely with street execs, Nakia Hicks. And Nakia, she's a publisher. She's one of the best publicists in the game, really. And she was just like, yo, I'm putting something together. Would you like to open for 2 Chainz at Terminal 5? I can make it happen. And she made it happen.
That's crazy.
So that's dope.
That was nuts.
That is.
And, I was a true opener. I was the first one on, like, but it was love, man. It was dope. And then same thing with Logic at Barclays. I can't ask for that. Can I? Yo, son. Yo. Can you bring me out at Barclays? Nah, he just hit me. He was like, he called me and he was like, yo, man, you coming to my show on Tuesday? I was like, yeah, I got my tickets. I'm on the list. I'm good.
Yeah.
Of course, bro. I'm not going to miss it. This is the Barclays Center. Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm coming. And, because I got a lot of love for Logic and we got history. And he was like, yeah, so I was thinking, there's this part of my show where I freestyle, where I just do a freestyle. And, I was just kind of thinking, you want to come out on stage with me? And I'm just
it's like, whoa.
Dog, is the Pope Catholic? Yeah, in the Barclays. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, right? Yeah. I know you're from Brooklyn. You want to come out? Absolutely.
That's fire.
Man, what beat do you want to rhyme over? Man, whatever beat, I don't give a damn. Like,
just let me come out on stage.
Like, we cool.
At that point, it could be a Christmas jingle.
Yeah. And he said, man, he said, man, I just want to pay like a subtle respect to Prodigy. This is after Prodigy passed. He's like, man, can we do Shook Ones? I'm like, yeah, we do Shook Ones. Like, yeah, man, let's go.
That's a moment.
Yeah, and my sons got to see it, which was dope. My sons are 9 and 12, so I got them in the building and took them home and had a long conversation with them that night about they could be anything they want to be in this world. Like, all of this is achievable. Nobody ever thought I'd be performing in Barclays. I always dreamed of it. Like, well, the Barclays only existed like 8 years, but I remember the very first thing at Barclays, what was it? It was Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
I was there opening night. He did 8 shows. I was there for 4 of them. And I was there opening night, like, damn, like, imagine what this feel like to be a dude from Brooklyn to be able to perform here. This is crazy. We ain't have this coming up.
Yeah.
So, but never did I thought that I would be there.
Yeah.
And I haven't. Nobody can take that away from me.
So how has it been like for your sons? I mean, obviously, you're first and foremost your dad. But now they see you in a different light. They see people interacting with you in a different light. And like, so how has that experience been for them? Just seeing their dad like becoming this artist, coming out on the Barclays Center and everything like that.
It's been cool. Like I said, I think it's been a teachable moment. I remember when my son was little, he had told me, because I was at MTV, like I was on TV a lot.
Yeah.
And, but it was me interviewing somebody else. And he was like, Dad, you're famous, but not really. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And he was like, you're just famous because you know famous people. Like, they think like you're famous by association. Kids are so perceptive.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, kind of right, dude. Like, I'm not arguing against you. Like, yeah, you cool. And at the Barclays, after we came out the Barclays of the Logic show, I came out the back entrance when it was over, and there was a bunch of kids outside. And, they were waiting to see Logic come out.
Yeah.
And here I come. So I was like, man, they might fucking throw tomatoes at me. Imagine they disappointment. They waiting for Logic. I come out. But now it was a bunch of kids came up to me like, yo, you killed it. Yo, I'm downloading your album right now. They were showing me their phones. They wanted to take pictures on Snapchat. Everybody wanted to take a picture. Everybody show love. And my kids are waiting at the end of the block for me because I was backstage. They had seats. So I'm like, just wait for me over there. It took me a half hour to get down the block because I was taking pictures.
Oh, wow.
Talking to people, shaking hands and with fans. And my sons are just looking at me like, who the fuck?
You're a rock star.
Like, this is our dad. And for me, I went home that night and it was a teachable moment. I'm just like, yo, I dreamed about this. I told my son, he's 12. I wrote my first rhyme when I was 12. I said, I've been dreaming about this since I was your age, bro. You could do anything you want. Like, don't let, and he and I had a long conversation about things that he thinks he might want to be in the future. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, don't let nothing stop you. So it's been great.
That's a really good story. How is it now adjusting? Because like I said, you are multi-talented at this point. You're a rapper. And when being a rapper, you obviously have to open up about certain things. Obviously, listen to your project. I've heard a lot of different stories on there. Does it affect you or your core audience when they hear these things, maybe that they've never heard before, or they get to hear a different side or perspective of you? How do you handle, like, I guess, explaining it or getting them to understand that, hey, this needed to be said?
Yeah, more so it was like therapy for me. I think people heard it. And I wonder how many people actually listen. Like, basically my whole story, like the intro to the album called Last Night, and the first bars is, I almost got shot today. You know what I'm saying? It's a true story. Like, I was in the hood and the next day I was moving and it was like on some Man Society shit. But, it wasn't like nobody, I wasn't the target, but it was just wrong place, wrong time, straight bullet. Like, so I'm thankful that I didn't get shot. It could have gone another way because I grew up with people, who are no longer here, just who died on the same corner I almost got shot on. I see people get arrested on the same corner. I seen addicts on that same corner. These are the pitfalls where we come from. Mm-hmm. And, I escaped that. And, there's a little bit of PTSD that comes, I think, when you come out of the hood. I grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Like, so I'm just grateful to have made it out. And I didn't have anywhere to tell these stories. Like, if I'm interviewing you, I'm trying to get your story. I'm not telling mine, but it was a very important story to me that, when I watched my older brother go to jail, it changed me. It like, I knew that's what, where I didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. So I rap about that a lot. And, the hardest part was telling the story, but not disrespecting my brother. I didn't want to that's his business at the same time. I didn't want to put all his business out there.
Yeah.
I got a couple brothers, so I didn't say his name because my brother, he's out of jail now. Mm-hmm. He's doing amazing. He may have people in his life who never knew that he went to jail.
Yeah.
Like, I make a mention of my cousin who was murdered. And but it's a little subtle mention because the way he was like, that's it's heinous. Like it's like a Lifetime movie or something. Like it's just so many twists and turns and what happened to him. But you know, he has kids that he left behind. He has a family, so they're not all my stories. So I'm telling these stories. I'm trying to do it respectfully. I'm not trying to do like, no disrespect, because it's one of my favorite songs. I'm not trying to do like the 50 Cent Ghetto Quran.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Because that makes people feel away, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and just knowing that these stories. I came up in the street, but I'm not a street dude.
So you still have that respect level, obviously, and you don't want to burn bridges, especially with your family. 'Cause that seems like a very touchy subject, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, when having to have these demons that you're fighting and carrying this weight, but yet you still gotta, you know, interview people and conduct yourself a certain way. And now having your own platform, kind of still having to restrict yourself just from a respect aspect.
Yeah. But you know, I'm learning, because these are still my stories, and I still want to get them out and tell them. You know, there's things that's happened in my past and with my family and me growing up that you wouldn't believe, and so I've never been to therapy. I don't know if I could go to therapy. I'm almost afraid.
You should go to therapy.
I'm afraid of opening up. Just like.
But you're a rapper. You do
I
realize
know,
you gotta
right.
you gotta open up.
So what I'm saying is, the rap is a therapy. I don't know if I could sit there in an office and open up to somebody.
Okay.
But this album was very therapeutic for me in that sense. Like this probably took the form of therapy. I can get some of this off my chest, and have everything be cool. And you know, my brother heard the joint, and he was cool with it. He was cool with what I said and how I said it. You know, I didn't ask his permission. I kind of went and did it. My older brother, he was the last person that I told that I rap, that I'm putting something out. He knew that I rapped as a kid, but when I was like, oh, by the way, like it was the day before it come out, I was like, yo, I got an album coming out tomorrow. He's like, what? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and then he heard the joint. He was like, all right, cool, this is all. He was like, man, just keep it street. Don't do no sucker shit.
That's the one thing I like. It's very New York. Right. It's very New York, and that's obviously needed in this day and age. And not disrespecting anybody else, but you know, I always like that era of music, like the 50 Cents, you know, that type of era. And I feel like your album is super New York, which is super, super needed.
Yeah, I didn't plan to do that like that. Like I just kind of picked. You know, I had these stories. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew the emotions and the feelings that I wanted to express, and I chose beats that fit that, and then that's what I chose. So, you know, it's just me being a product of New York and me being from New York and from that era. I didn't go in and be like, yo, I'm gonna make a New York album, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, you know, keep a Uzi in my army jacket liner. Like, it's just how I dress. Like, it might be some polo. Like, I'm from New York. I can't hide that. You know, the one thing I said, right? Like, the worst thing you could be in hip hop is old, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the second worst thing you could be in hip hop is from New York. Like, dog, they make fun of our slang. Like, you don't go nowhere else. Nobody makes fun of Bay Area slang, LA slang, but you know, dead ass B and facts.
Oh, man,
it's like a joke to a lot of people.
I said bet to somebody the other day, and he had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He was like, bet.
I said dead ass before out of state, and they're like, what's dead ass? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh,
but
I gotta
we get
explain
made
it.
fun of this shit. We get made fun for wearing Timbs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and what I'm saying is I'm from an era where it was dope. It was always dope to hear some LA hip hop or some meet a LA cat, because it was like, man, I'm getting put on to some new slang. Oh, that's how y'all dress?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how y'all say that?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, I remember speaking to Kendrick and what's their word out there? Maney?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dog, what's Maney? Like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, da. So he started breaking down what it means. But that's the dope shit about hip hop is like, you know, and I think the internet brings everything closer together. But, you know, it's like, man, like I like for each city, each artist to have their own identity. We all don't got to use the same slang. We all don't got to dress the same. And 9 out of 10 times, too, it'll be some kid in his mother basement in Idaho who don't even come outside
got
over there.
Fake profile photos and stuff. Like, it's like, yo, dog, you don't even show your real face or name. So,
but let me say dead ass, B. Like, fuck facts. Like, this is just what we like. This is how we move. Like, let me get this chopped cheese and leave me alone. Let me get my chopped cheese in peace. Leave me alone.
oh man, that was like when they these two guys. I guess they were former Google people, and they're trying to get rid of bodegos.
Oh yeah, the bodega.
I was like, what
Man.
the heck was this?
I seen that.
If bodegos go, I'm gonna have an issue.
But here's my thing, and it goes
It's necessary.
It goes to gentrification and what's happening in New York. Like,
Yeah.
I love that New York is safer than what it was. You know what I'm saying? And New York's changed. The problem is that the people who've endured and gave the city character all these years can't afford to live here no more. So you love our culture so much, like you come into our neighborhoods and, you know, oh my God, it's so, New York, da, da, da. Love everything about it, but then want to replace the shit. Like,
Yeah.
the bodega, like, nah, B, like, what the fuck? A bodega box? Like, nah, get out of here
It's like a
with that
pantry.
shit, man.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, in essence, that's all it really is.
And then you gonna call it bodega?
Yeah, that was. He's
Like-
like, I'm not trying to appropriate.
Nah, man,
What?
it's just disrespectful. I think to the character. Like, I'm just very strong on. I don't want us. We can evolve. You know, we don't got to be out here like it's 1995. I'm happy that I don't see crack in the street no more. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just walking with crack vials all on in the playground, and these are great
Facts.
things. But man, don't lose. I mean, what makes us us, man?
Yeah,
Like, you know?
I definitely agree with that. Now, when you were recording your album, were there times where like there was maybe a record outside of the record where you spoke about with your brother and your cousin? Was there one record where it took you longer to get through than others just because it was so personal and it was just so in depth that you were kind of like, I'm really struggling writing this, even though I want this story to be told and I want people to hear it, but it's a challenge.
I mean, yeah, I scrapped that record. I ended up not using it for the record. It was a record about addiction. Like, you know, I saw I grew up around a lot of addicts, you know, or people who you know, in various degrees, of people who exhibit addictive behavior, and I've always been afraid of being an addict myself. So, you know, I don't do a ton of drugs. Like, I may smoke here and there, but like, if I smoke too many days in a row, I'm like, oh shit, like, nah, I'm just afraid of being like addicted to anything. So I was writing this song about addiction, and it was kind of about real life stories about people around me, and I couldn't finish I couldn't put it out the way. And not that I was holding back, it was just too raw. Like, for me, like, it was just taking me to a place like, I'm like, nah. But I ended up using one of the verses to the record. It is the first time I said this too on I Don't Want to Wait, which was the first single that we dropped that Justice League and 8 Bars produced. The last verse, everyone's addicted to something. Some addicted to drugs, some addicted to hustling, some addicted to women, some addicted to sinning. It's the rush, the adrenaline, the high when it's settling. That was from a whole nother record, and the whole record was about addiction. And I love that verse, but I just couldn't finish the record, so I kind of left it on the cutting room floor. I'm probably gonna revisit it. I just gotta be in the right headspace. Like, it has to come to me, you know.
Yeah.
I have a question that kind of steers away from the music a little bit, or maybe it could be associated with music. I'm not sure. I met your mother for the first time.
Sure did.
She was amazing. Loved her. She helped me with the Revolt piece that I did with you. My question is, have you ever, growing up or even, you know, kind of in the industry or anything in general, I saw that, of course, you're light, your mom's fairly dark, then your dad's light. Have you guys dealt with any sort of colorism growing up with the fact that your mom was darker than you and your brothers?
I don't think in my family. So my mom is Puerto Rican, and my dad is Jewish. And my dad was born here, but his family is from Russia, from like Eastern Europe, and they're Jewish. But my dad is also atheist, so he's not practicing Jewish religion. So it's weird.
Yeah.
And my mom is Puerto Rican, but my mom, you know, if you look at my mom looks black. She's Afro-Latina, you know. And when growing up, and you know, I'm obviously as light as I am. Growing up, I was always taught to respect and love everything that made who I am. So my mother always taught us, in being Latin and being Puerto Rican, that being Puerto Rican is comprised of, you know, you have the natives who are in Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
you know,
the Taino tribe.
The Taino tribe, right? And then you have the Spaniards who came and colonized, and then you had the Africans that were brought over as slaves when they were being brought over to America. Puerto Rico is obviously a port, and it's those cultures. So there's African culture in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
Spaniards, the Spanish language we get from Spain, and then the native blood, the Taino blood. So even though I was light, I've always identified with being a person of color,
Yeah.
And my dad instilled that in me too. Like my dad was like, "Yo, you Puerto Rican." Like when you check off that box, when they used to give you the schooling test, what are you? They didn't have this before they had Latin or Latino. I don't know what they have now, but he was like, "Man, you Hispanic." Like,
Yeah.
it's in your blood. Like, so I was always raised. So inside my house, it was never a problem, really culturally. When I got outside, people see Markman, but then they see me and they be like, "Yo, you ain't white, but Markman's your last name." And it was tough. Or sometimes I'll see on Twitter, like when we used to do MTV Hottest MCs, they used to be like, man, what you know about hip hop? You white. And I'm just like, well, first of all, even I am, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also Puerto Rican, but fuck, I challenge anybody like who know more hip hop than me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we could do it. So you meet that sometimes, like, but I don't trip off of that. I know who I am.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, a wild story is though, and it's funny because you get it on both sides when it comes to the race thing. Like sometimes, you're not black enough for the black kids, and you're not white enough for the white kids, and being biracial and being mixed in that way. I struggle with that growing up. It took me a while till I got my teenage years, so I got really comfortable about who I am. But I remember my pops used to go to this all Jewish summer camp, and he loved it. You know what I'm saying? So he would send me, he was like, man, go check this out. And I hated it. And, that was the first time I was maybe 11 or 12. That was the first time somebody ever called me a nigga. ER.
Yikes.
And I was like, so we ready to fight right now. But I look like the crazy one. Like, I just always kind of felt different in that particular environment. And, when I'd be around the Puerto Rican side of my family, and like I said, my mother is dark, Afro-Latina, the whole side of the family is like that. My grandmother even darker than her. My grandmother, my cousins, they were cool. They would always joke and be like, oh, man, I'm the white boy cousin. But that shit even was more joking than said with love because they fully embraced me. They held me down. Like, we were family. Like, it was no question. There was some times on my father's side of the family where I ain't quite feel welcome or belong. I used to wear braids in my hair because I looked up to my older brother. My older brother had box braids. I feel like my older brother was like the first Puerto Rican with braids. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, that's crazy. But not even because that comes from our culture. That comes from the Taino culture as well, right? But my brother had braids, so I got braids. And my brother went to jail. And one of the elders in my father's side of the family was like, saw me with the braids and then was just like, you gonna end up just like your brother.
Oh.
You gonna go to jail. You going down the same path just because I had braids in my hair. So I felt like, I'm like, dog, how can you say that to me? Like, like I was like 13, 14 at the time. And so, like you experience it in subtle ways, but around, through hip hop a lot too, like, and through writing music really kind of helped me find and define who I was at a young age.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, it's crazy. Like you have that experience, and then me, it's kind of like the other way, where my mom is really light, and people think she's white. And sometimes, like when I went to colleges to go visit, they'll go to a black lady and be like, "Oh, so what does your daughter think?" And I'm like, "Yo, like that's not my mom. Like this is my mom." And she went through the same thing. Like she was called like the white sheep, the mailman's baby, because it was like she was the lightest one out of my other aunts. So, but speaking of Puerto Rico, go Puerto Rico, Boricua over here. The recent hurricane, it's been a travesty. Like it's I think it's like only 9% of people in Puerto Rico have electricity now. Only like 9%, which is mind-boggling. But have you had anyone that's been affected? I know I had like some few distant cousins that have been affected down there.
Yeah, I have distant cousins over there on my mother's side. But for the most part, most of my family is up here. But My best friend Lou, we're like brothers. We're as close as, he grew up. He looks at my mother and my father as his parents, and I look at his parents as mine. Like, we just are that close. He was out there, and his wife was pregnant, and she gave birth like during that whole
the
ordeal. Yeah, like
It's crazy.
And not being able to communicate with him for that time was hard. But he's in the Army. He's a sergeant in the Army. Like, I knew in my heart, I knew that he was all right, because I was like, man, he's just out here probably helping other people.
Yeah.
But I spoke to him the night before the storm hit, and he was like, man, we're just gonna ride this out. And it was probably a good 10, 12 days before I heard from him again, like trying to reach out, trying to find him. But he's good. He's good. When I spoke to him, he was like, yo, man, just can you get us all flights out of here? It's like, yo, I got you. It's dope, and he's doing like really, really good. But it's a travesty what's going on out there, man. I think it's really disgusting the way Trump has handled it. I think every chance he gets, one, he wants to pat himself on the back for some shit that he didn't even do. Like, we got the mayor over there, like, wading through water, helping people, and he's criticizing her. And this dude is chucking paper towels like he's Steph Curry.
Yeah, that was trash.
And want to pat himself on the back. But every time he opens his mouth, he wants to remind Puerto Rico that they're in debt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's really disgusting, man. You're talking about people who need help. You know what I'm saying? The debt crisis in Puerto Rico is a governmental thing, is like but we're talking about people who need help. These people that are affected, also victims of government greed, and that's why the debt is the way it is, right? And why the financial situation. So you're gonna hit them twice, like, and even it's just very man, it's like
tasteless.
Ignorant, tasteless is the word of we're dealing with a human tragedy over there, and you want to talk about the financial aspects of it, like, man, like, just do what you gotta do, man. Get these people help.
And that's the one thing that bothers me about that whole situation, because it's like loaning somebody money and then reminding them, yo, you remember I loaned you that $5 though, right? And when
like,
you needed it, you know, what
10 years ago.
And it's like, fam, it's been 20 years.
And then they house is burning. Yeah, it was like, man, I would go out and save them, but that $5 that I lent them,
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
But it doesn't make no sense. But the beautiful thing is, regardless of Trump, because fuck him, the spirit of the people, man, like seeing in New York, like I didn't know who to donate to. Everybody had a drive. Everybody was doing something, whether it was Tidal and Fat Joe and Angie Martinez, and Princess No Kid was doing something. I got on the phone. I was speaking with Immortal Technique about doing something, man. You see what Mark Anthony and J-Lo are doing. Celebrities and just everybody, just the community getting together. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I look up to immensely. Just doing what we got to do for our people, regardless of the government. That's the real beauty of it, is that the way we come together as a people and help each other when the chips is down.
Do you think that's going to sway, like, when you start working on your next project? Because I'm assuming your next project is coming. You're a rapper now, so I'm holding you to these standards of that. Yeah. Do you think you'll use your platform now to kind of touch more on political, and obviously not delving into it too much, because just, that's a lot for someone to retain, but to be able to express yourself and get people to understand, like, this is a real issue, and if you have a platform, you should use it. Do you see yourself tipping into that a little bit?
Yeah, I might. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, it's kind of like whatever comes out in the studio comes out. But the one thing. So I can't speak to what's gonna come out in the music. And I just started to get back in the studio and start again. So I don't know what the result of that is gonna be. I'm just gonna let it come to me. But I think what you say about having a platform. I think now also being a rapper as well as a journalist has put me kind of in a different light. And regardless of what comes out in the music, using my voice to speak out, going out, not being afraid to come on shows like your own and like, yo, we're going to speak on this and I'm going to tell you how I feel. And then going out in the streets, my manager, Hovain, he and I had talked, because I don't know how, like, I've never done it. But I was like, yo, man, can we do something? Like, what can we do to get back to the people? Like, what type of programs can we set up? You know, do I have to set up a business as a charity? Like, what's that involved? And really learning now that I have another platform, like, how can I give back? So that's definitely going to be a focus of ours going forward. Absolutely.
That's dope. Now, I want to circle back to one thing because I really do feel like it was important when you started to talk about your upbringing with your brother and stuff like. It seems like your brother was a focal point before he was locked up or whatever. Did you feel like a lot of pressure from your family, like, hey, you have to be successful, like you know? Did you ever feel that sense of pressure?
Yeah, no, I didn't feel the pressure from my family to be successful. After my brother got into his situation, it was a pressure that I put onto myself. I looked up to my brother a lot, and you know, I still do. You know, he was the first one that I seen come in with EPMD tapes and Redman tapes. He taught me what hip hop was. You know, and to see him in an Adidas tracksuit and to see him kind of do graffiti and just be out in the street. Like, my brother was the man, like, growing up. Like, he got all the girls. He had all the music. He had a fresh sheepskin. Like, he always had, like, the freshest clothes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's who I looked up to. So, you know, I remember when I first started rapping, like, spitting rhymes to my brother. Yo, check out what I wrote. And him just laughing like, dog, whack, you need to give this up. Like, you know, but he's my older brother. Like, that's what the older brother do. So a lot of it was trying to, when I was little, trying to prove to him that I could be cool too, or as cool as him.
Wait, was he the one that laughed at you when you called into Stretch and Bug?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I called into a radio station around one time, and the rhyme was whack, and they hung up on me. It was absolutely whack. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. And I was like, damn, and my brother was just there crying. And I was just like, like, I thought the world was ended there. I was like, man, it's over, man. They hung up on me. But yeah, so my brother definitely was like, oh, he ain't pulled no punches. He ain't baby me in no type of way. But, you know, I always looked up to him. So that pressure I put on myself. And then when he got into his situation, like, I wanted my little brother. I wanted to look out for my little brother too, you know. So yeah, that it was more so pressure that I put on myself.
Now, let's talk about you as a journalist, because that journey is something else in itself. How did you start? You know, like, what made you want to get these stories and bring light to some of your favorite artists? Because you've Jay-Z, freaking everyone, like, literally everyone.
Jay-Z, Nas, 50,
yeah, like, you've had
Nicki, Drake,
really
Wayne,
huge interviews.
I think weren't you like one of the first people for Kendrick too, or like one that really like ones that really supported?
Yeah, I was pretty vocal about Kendrick early on, and we just developed like a great relationship. It's amazing what happened with that kid, because I just like Kendrick. And, you know, we talking about Kendrick Lamar EP. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, like, before Section 80, just because he could rap. I back then I couldn't have told you that he was gonna be like multi-platinum. I couldn't tell you he was gonna be the biggest artist in rap today. Like, I didn't have that type of vision. I was just like, yo, this dude could rap, and I just want to lend whatever platform. I was at XXL at the time, man. However we can get him in the magazine, let's get him in. If it's a little blurb, if it's a big article, let's do whatever we could do. And it worked out. He took us to a whole nother level. But I didn't really have dreams of being a journalist. Like I said, I started out wanting to be an artist, and the journalism thing kind of found me. But it all stems from just the love of hip hop. Yeah. You know, I grew up in an era where, and I think, damn, now I sound like old head. I think the kids these days take it for granted. Like, growing up, like, they used to tell us, teachers, parents, uncles, aunts, you wasting your time with that music. Oh, it's not gonna last. Yeah. Oh, it's just a fad. Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, like, I was able to make a career and feed my family and surpass a lot of people. You know, my pops looked at me one day and he was like, man, I'm proud. He was like, you're more successful than I've been. Wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Wow. And that's what everybody wants for their kids, is for their kids to, you know, do better than they did. And he was like, man, you really took it further than I did. I'm proud of you, you know? And we just recently had that conversation like a couple months ago. But yeah, I never had dreams of being a journalist. Like, it kind of just found me. But it all stemmed from a love of hip hop. I had a friend named, still my friend, Tim Hotep, who was at Complex Magazine. It was like the 4th issue, and he knew I knew a lot about rap, and he knew I could write because we went to school together. So I would always get like A's on my essays. I was horrible in math and everything, but English, anything that had to do with writing, I was always just good at. So he was like, man, I need somebody. I can't find anybody, man. Can you do this Jada Kiss album review for me? And I was like, cool, yeah. He was like, Jada's gonna go up to D Block Studios. Jada gonna play you the album. And I'm like, all right, cool. This sounds like the coolest shit in the world. And we're gonna pay you $500 or something. I'm like, and I'm getting paid. Yeah. He was like, Interscope was gonna send a car. They're gonna pick you up. They're gonna drop you off. He's gonna wait for you when you're done, and when you're done, he's gonna bring you back home. I'm like, dog, this cake.
That's crazy.
And Jada played me the album. It was the first time I heard Why before it came out. Like that shit like blew my mind. And that whole album, and I caught a check, and then one review led to 2, and then writing for Complex led to freelancing for The Source, and that led to freelancing for Vibe and XXL, and it just kind of snowballed. You know, I was just like, and I was working in the mailroom at the time, and I never thought I would get out. I was like, man, I'm gonna be in this mailroom forever. And I saw a way through hip hop. I was like, oh, I could write about what I love. I could participate in this game. It wasn't being an artist like I had originally dreamed, but I'm like, yo, I could actually participate in this business, in this game, in this culture, and get paid for it. Okay, this is the route we taking, so I took it.
Dope. The route less traveled.
Yeah,
technically, when you think about it.
And it was dope. I remember too. I was in a group. This is funny. I was in a group when I was like in high school, and we used to go to all these open mics and battles around New York, and there was all these different crews or whatever. And somebody in the group had suggested, and we get our little looks, but it wasn't like we was popping at all. So they was like, yo, we should make a newsletter, our own kind of thing, and spotlight, just report on the whole scene, and then we could just give ourselves looks every now and again. I remember being mad, like, man, I ain't coming here to be no fucking journalist, to make no magazines. I came in here to rap, man. We rapping or what we doing? I remember that was like a suggestion. I was like, man, I ain't doing that shit, man. Go to the studio. We're going to work this shit out. And lo and behold, that really became the path that I took.
It's like the opposite, right? Now you have to do that newsletter and then go in the studio after.
Yeah, shit. If I'd have had that vision, like I was like in high school, man, we could have started the next Source of XXL if we'd have stuck with it. My man had the vision. I ain't even gonna lie.
You slept on him.
I definitely slept on
man.
him. And I just remembered that too. He never brought it up too. I wonder if he remembers it. He might. I did hear this. He might call me. Like,
I was about to say he gonna call you like, Rob, I heard that shit. Fuck you, man.
Nah, he gonna want 20%. He gonna be like, man, I want 20%.
Oh man. But I mean, I gotta say, this has been such a great journey watching, especially when we had our previous talks before it even came out, and it's crazy just to see how fast it's been going. Like it's been going pretty fast. Like
right. Thank you. It don't feel fast enough. Like I'm like
he's like I'm trying to get to the next level.
Newsflash, Rob, it's going pretty fast.
I'm saying,
it's going pretty fast.
It's still certain things that now the competitive part in me sets in. Like it was great. When the record came out, I didn't send it to any DJs. I just didn't. I told you it wasn't really a goal. I didn't even get a chance to send it to DJs, and DJ Enough was the first one to play it on Hot 97.
Oh, that's fire.
And fire. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna hold you. I cried, like, cause it came on at 2:00 in the afternoon, and it was right after a Kendrick Lamar record, and
oh wow,
it's this record where it's a deeply personal record, and I definitely shed a tear. And the funny shit was, my son, I didn't know it was coming on, and my son was in the car with my wife, with his mom, and they heard the record. It wasn't like I called them and said, yo, the record's coming on, turn on High 97. They just happened to be listening. So my son is playing, and my son was like, hold up. That's Dad? You playing? Mom, you playing? Nah, it's on High 97. He was like, yo, that's... And they had to pull over the car. My 9-year-old son was tripping out. So, that was cool. But... to go back is, so I got a couple spins on High 97, which was amazing, right? Yeah. The best feeling in the world. But I'm like, I want more. Like, I ain't getting enough spins. Like, what I got to do? Now the competitive part comes in. It's like, man, what's the type of records? Now I'm looking at, I'm happy that I got this off, but
Yeah.
I'm not just happy to be here. Like I really want to stretch myself and grow and make bigger records and make more far-reaching music because I think I have a lot to offer. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at like Kendrick, at J. Cole. I'm like, how they did that? Okay, what's that? Okay, what's my version of that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
And now the strategy for you comes into play.
Yeah.
How you going to position yourself in the field? How
Right.
you going to make yourself
Yeah.
stand out more?
Right, but it's fun too. I don't want to because I feel like the strategy makes it almost like disingenuous or like very much like, oh, I'm trying to make a hit record. No, now it's fun. Now it's like because it really starts. Okay, well, what do I got to do? Okay, I know the beats. You know, my man Punch Ashley from TDE told me he was like, yo, okay. I hear this. I know your comfort zone now. I know what beats. You know, it's a certain BPM. It's the New York sounding beats. Okay, what's the beats that I could select for the next one
Yeah.
that take me out of my comfort zone, that force me to think about I'm gonna flow this record different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna approach this record different, or something to that. So and that's fun. Like that's super like challenging. That's like, you know, if you playing ball and you practicing your free throws. All right, I'm 10 for 10 for the line.
Yeah.
Okay, my mid range is good. Let me take it out to the 3-point line and figure out how many of these threes I could sink, you know?
Well, you're funny enough. You're on a workout playlist on Spotify.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I picked it up because I was like, all right, I gotta get some like different playlists to listen to, and it was maybe like 6:30 in the morning. I'm working out. I hear Rob. I'm like, wait a second, hold up. I was like, oh snap! They put him on the playlist.
And those streams went all the way up. So, yeah, man. So yeah, now I'm streaming like in the hundreds of thousands on multiple joints.
That's
And
dope.
you know, I had somebody hit me. Writer is the record that's on the Power playlist and Spotify. I had somebody hit me just on Instagram. 'Cause you know Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
People who can't even follow you could DM you.
Yeah.
And before I would never look at the DMs but I was like, man, let me just see what people are saying. And there's a lot of inspirational stuff. Like one woman hit me just the other day and said that she heard the record came on the other day and she started crying.
Oh man.
And like, cause it just made her feel like there's so much that she has to do that she hasn't done yet. I had one dude hit me up from I think he's in Saudi Arabia.
Shit.
Oh, wow.
I've never been there. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And hit
crazy.
me and was like, I was on the verge of suicide. Like I was feeling suicidal when I heard your record, and it inspired me to live and maybe just do things, that there was things worth living for.
Wow.
And these are reactions that I've never intended. So this is worth more than a sale, a stream, or it's like these are people who would never forget.
Yeah, your story is like a Cinderella story in a sense.
Yeah.
Like you really went from one realm to another, but you're successful still in both, and now you're touching people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm opening up. I don't know when this is gonna air, but October 30th, I'm opening up for Cypress Hill in Brooklyn.
Shit.
And that's dope. Like they're legends, obviously. There's some of the best
that's
performers.
Crazy.
The wild part is Cypress Hill was the first rap concert I ever been to in my life. So I dug up these pictures of me. You know, my cousin got us tickets to go see Cypress Hill and backstage passes. So there's pictures of me at 13 years old on the tour bus with Be Real.
That's
And
crazy.
Sendo. So I posted those pictures and I'm like, yo, these dreams come true. Like I remember watching them like, damn, I want to do that. Because
Yeah.
at this point I've already written a couple of rhymes. I'm like, yo, one day I want to do that. And then again, I don't ask to perform for Cypress Hill. I got the call and they was like, yo, you want to come perform for
That's
Cypress Hill?
fire.
You want to open for Cypress Hill? And then they're tweeting about it. Like Be Real is like posting it on his Instagram. Like I don't really know him like that. Like I can't say like that's the homie, you know, but they're blown away. They were like, they don't remember that I was there when I was 13. And when they see these things on the gram, they're like, oh shit, this shit really came full circle for this
Yeah.
dude. So, you know, like that's the fun part, you know?
I feel like a lot of things are coming full circle. Like even with Erin, you've been detrimental in giving her advice and things like that. How does this? Because I think this is very interesting.
I'm proud. I'm proud. I'm proud of Erin. Erin would call. I mean, we've had meetings. We've sat down,
Yeah.
meetings in Starbucks, like just figuring out where you were gonna go. You always had this vision of making not only great content, but you have a dope business mind. So you was always like, yo, I know how I could do something and brand it and make it authentic. Like you brought more to the table of, I just want to be a journalist. Like you really thought about the game in a 360 degree, you know, outlook. And, you know, from you going over to Revolt was dope. You know, like I was proud to see that because we talked about that
Yeah.
and made a plan and set the
Yeah.
plan in motion, and you carried it through and did it. And you know, while I was sad to see you leave when you told me
Yeah.
you were leaving Revolt. I was like, man, why? Da da da. But then to see with the cycle and the things that you're doing there, like you're really creating your own path
Yeah.
right now. And it's dope to see. And we've had many talks about just like how to navigate in this industry. And you got it. Like, not everybody is built for this because this shit will chew you up and spit you out. But
yeah.
that thing that you
Definitely.
need, you got it.
I appreciate
So I'm
it.
super proud of you. And now you're building your own platform with B, and that's dope. And you know, though I ain't expressed this, but I've been a fan of yours. Just your voice, just like I'm low key tripping out. Like, you know, like one of the records that inspire me. Like, there's certain things that are classics, right? That
Yeah.
everybody just holds as like everybody knows Illmatic is a classic, and
Yeah.
Reasonable Doubt and Cuban Link and Get Rich or Die Trying. Then there's certain records that just personally to you are classics. Scarface The Fix being one of them is a classic to me and very inspirational and the reason why I write the way I write. Moon Music 3 is one of those
Hey.
records for me. Joe Budden's Moon Music 3, and it just, even your voice and your contributions to that record are things that I would never forget. Just, I low key just want him to give me just a Killabh drop right now, but I don't want to fan out.
Wait, B, you may have to do one.
I'll do it.
Yeah, we did it. We made it. Nah, man, but so for me to be here and then see you doing that, because all I kind of knew from you coming up was just like, okay, that's just Butters, man, and he hypes up the track and the Killabh BH, and it's like, nah, Brandon's a real person, and really does things and real contributions, and what y'all building here is amazing. So I salute
Thank
it.
you.
We appreciate it. We definitely want to thank you for coming on. Right to dream, people. A lot of you, and again, I'm like I said earlier on, I was a skeptic. Go listen to this body of work. I assure you, you will not be disappointed. Great project, and especially from the New York, New Jersey area, it's hip hop. And if you know me and you know Erin, we're about hip hop, people. Go listen to it. It's a beautiful piece of work. It takes you on roller coasters, and on top of it, as you are listening and seeing, it's coming from someone that I think is genuine in the art and in just music. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Nah, that's love. Thank you, man. I'm so. I was definitely afraid. Erin knows, like, to put this out. Like, literally, the week before it came out, I called Hovain, and I don't know if I want to put this out.
You almost didn't put it out.
I was freaking out, like low key, like I wasn't, because I knew I did at that point. We signed a contract with Empire. Shout out to Ghazi and Nima for putting the deal together, because those two guys, their contribution to this, I'll never forget. Like, they gave me a shot when I don't think anybody would. We were contractually obligated. We had to put the record out. But I was like, man, I don't know if I should put this out. Let me change the record. Let me do this and do that. And then finally just let it go, to have that reaction that it had. Because I knew it didn't fit in today necessarily. Somebody told me the other day, yesterday, they was like, yo, I think for your next joint, you need less lyrics and more ad-libs. And I was like, and he's a friend of mine, so I knew where it was coming from. And look, everything don't got to be super lyrical. I'm not one of those cats. And I understand, but it's like you got to go where the music takes you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're really in an era, like, if you really think about it, my boy's comment notwithstanding, we're in an era of less lyrics and more ad-libs.
Yeah, we are.
Like you could bust your ass on a 16 and motherfuckers will overlook that. But if
because of the flow, just because of the ad-lib or some shit.
I said men's not hot.
Right, but look, I'm glad we here. Look at where we at now. Like, memes are turning into records.
Yeah.
Like that record is signed, and if he goes on to sell 5 million of those, guess what? They're gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cash Me Outside is signed.
That's a prime example, though. Like, really think about that. Really think about that. She put that record out, or just put that whole scheme out, and I'm sure she wasn't even thinking that she would be an artist that now fucking
Right.
I don't
is
think any
being
of us.
pushed.
I don't think any of us were
And,
thinking.
and far be it for me to shit on any artist who is taking
Yeah.
an unconventional route, because
Yeah.
you know what? And let's keep it a stack.
Yeah.
If I don't have my journalism career and I drop Right to Dream as just a kid coming out from Brooklyn, I'm not here. Like,
Yeah.
Chainz is not asking me to open for him. I'm not on stage with Logic. I might not be here with Grassroots. I'm not getting played on High 97. So I recognize taking the unconventional route.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But don't dumb our shit the fuck down. Like, our shit is
Yeah.
worth something. It's not a fad. It's not a meme. Memes disappear and go away after a while. Like, and I think it starts with us as fans and as media and people in the culture. Like, if we don't give it our attention, like, there's certain things I just won't retweet. Even if I find it funny, like, Man's Not Hot was funny.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, this is funny. I don't need to retweet it. Everybody's retweeting it. Like, I don't need to add energy to this, because the labels, what they're seeing is we're retweeting because we're laughing at it. Like, oh, this is funny. What they see is engagement.
They're seeing dollar signs.
Numbers.
They're saying, "Oh, this
So
is a thing."
When you retweet something, sometimes people like retweet something because they hate it, right? And there's no way to measure that, how you feel about a share or a retweet or playing a song on YouTube. Like, but all they see is, those clicks mean interest. That interest means money.
Yeah.
You know, so we put our energy into shit that we might not even like. Like, look, I like this as a joke. That don't mean I'm gonna go buy your record. Look at the kid. Remember the kid? The why you always lying?
Yeah.
That was funny as fuck.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Then he went to the studio and cut a full version of that record. Remember?
Which is
And-
crazy.
And people was like, chill, B. We was good with the
Yeah,
30 seconds. Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, baby, what is you doing? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry, I'm long-winded, but I'm passionate about
fine.
this shit. Like, you know, invest your energy into stuff that's quality and talented. If not, this whole shit gonna crumble.
I feel you.
And it starts with us about what we will and what we won't accept from artists. Like, it's cool to laugh, it's cool to joke, it's cool to have fun, but think about 20 years from now. Like, our kids gonna have something. Like, there's a kid. Damn, sorry, so many tangents.
You're right.
Lou Got Cash.
Oh yes. Yeah.
From Queens.
From Queens.
That's Pretty Lou's son from the Lost Boys.
No shit.
Absolutely. And he got a dope record out, you know. What is it? Make 10 cents to save a Joe.
Yeah.
Like, that's my guy. Like, he got a good record. But Lost Boys, like, that was like royalty to us growing
Yeah.
up. They were dope. And they were able to do something so dope, and they left something behind that his son could pick it up. Now his son has a career that he could go, right? Like, Chris Rivers, like Pun's son, now has a playground that he could play in, and I hope that he's successful. You know, Diddy's son is starting to do his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, what we gonna leave for our future? Like, we gonna fuck around and dumb this hip hop shit down so the fuck much, and it's our shit. Don't get it twisted. I
Yeah.
mean, the label may own your masters, whatever, but it's our shit, because this shit don't move without us.
Exactly.
Like, what's gonna be left for our kids? What's gonna be left for the next generation if we just meme this shit the fuck out?
Yeah.
Wow. We're all about that. We're all about the realness. We're not dumbing down. That's why we got you as a journalist, you as a rapper, and us as a podcast. So, but Rob, I definitely want to say thank you so much for coming onto this podcast. And just thank you so much in general, because, like, you are one of the people that really, truly believed in my potential when I first got here. And you never once doubted me. And even now, like, just getting your guidance and support, I know I sometimes hit you up, and it's funny, I was telling Brandon, I was like, yo, whenever that Puerto Rican side's coming up, I always hit up Rob. I'm like, Rob, I don't know what the hell to do. Like, I'm about to lose it. Like, what do I do? And Rob's like one of the very few people who can be like, you know, it's okay. You just got to go this route. Or sometimes he'll be like, yo, fuck them. I'm like, yeah, exactly, right? But no, I really do appreciate your kind words and appreciate how you've supported me in everything. And, you know, now I'm the one that's now trying to support you in any way as possible. And I know Brandon feels the same way,
100%.
too.
You got my support.
That's crazy. That's love. And you guys are just scratching the surface, man. Like, you know, from where you started to where you are now. Like, I was like, what is this? Like, 9 episodes? Nah, y'all teenagers now. Y'all in it. I wish you much more. 100 episodes, 200, 300. Like, I think that Grassroots really has the potential to become
Thank you.
a staple in our culture. Like, one of those things, like, when somebody puts out like, all right, man, I got to do Breakfast Club, Everyday Struggle, Grassroots. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and y'all have the potential to be that. So I think y'all
Thank
just
you.
getting started.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to seeing the journey. And any way I can support, I'm here for it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Markman.
Killabh!